Hello, everybody. This presentation is only the translation of the presentation from Halbe Vlietstra. The explanation of Nature Plus, the Dutch original presentation of Halbe Vlietstra, and the questions you can find in the full webinar recordings. Halbe Vlietstra is a representative at Oldeboom Timber Trade. Oldeboom has two branches and is a supplier of wood and sheet material, insulation material, and ecological products, which is a specialty of Halbe at Oldeboom. Halbe is also a building biologist, and he will explain some more about this and why. Building biology is building with natural and fair materials. Living and working in a healthy indoor climate is important. Consciously dealing with the environment, energy, and water. This also means that the design and architecture of a building should be harmonious and eco-social living environments and infrastructure. These are the basic 5 elements of building biology, and about each of them, of course, there's a lot more to tell. Basically, this means to build with nature and look at what nature has to offer. Also to look good at the composition of building materials and substances of these products. What is the effect of these substances for indoor climates? This is important for all the materials, not just the building materials, but also finishing products like flooring, paints, textiles, and so on. And besides this is also, besides this, you also should look at installations and radiation in houses. Building biology is to look at what is good and what is not, and to learn from it and to improve it the next time. Why building with bio-based materials? One of the reasons could be because of our Dutch government wants to be completely circular in 2050. This will be hard, but it's still, there's still a lot to do, but it's possible. If we want to be fully circular, we also have to design and build in a circular way. This means to build with wood and other renewable materials. This helps to make a building industry more green and clean. In the end, we build for human beings so that they have a healthy environment to work and live in. And we're not just talking about sociability, but also nature ability. It's to be inspired by nature. To come to a healthy building, we need to combine circular, ecological, and bio-based building materials. Here you can see a bird's nest. Halbe will explain a little bit more, or we will explain a little bit more in this presentation later on, to show that what nature does is really special. The explanation of bio-based building. What is bio-based building? This is building based on nature, with what nature has to offer. He thinks we forgot a little bit about this in the last 60, 70 years. We used to do this all the time, building with what was available in the area. And now we're going back to this, but building with materials that grow above ground. So it should be renewable within the lifespan. This means cut down a tree, cut down a tree and immediately plant a new one. Use the tree for wood and for insulation, etc. And after 30 to 40 years, you can repeat these steps. Buildings will stand for longer than this. And because of this, it fits within the lifespan of the building. Building without fossil-based raw materials is very important. And of course, to build with materials that help to create a healthy indoor climate. Which bio-based materials are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about wood, of course, from sustainable managed forests, and installation materials. Combine those two things together to create a construction. Here's some examples of insulation materials. From Oldenboom, they are always looking for materials that have a Nature Plus label. This is because the label, behind the label, there's an organization who looks strongly at which materials there are and what effects do they have on well-being. What does it do to the people who process the materials? What does it do during the lifespan of the products? And what does it do to help, what does it do to the people who have to remove it in the end? And with what are we burdening our children? These points are also important to us, to Oldenboom. So that's why we look for materials with a Nature Plus label. And which materials are already included with the Nature Plus label. We have wood fiber insulation, we have cellulose, hemp fiber, and sheep wool. Here are some others mentioned, also for an example, straw and cotton, but only these four are insulation materials with the Nature Plus label. You can see them here. So insulating with natural materials. Why should you use these materials and what are their advantages? First of all, of course, it's the winter warmth. We've always insulated houses to keep the warmth in, and of course, we keep doing that. But nowadays, you see that it's an even bigger challenge. We also need to insulate against the heat in the summer and to keep the building cool. More and longer periods of extreme heat and heat waves until September, they become more normal. And this is bad for our comfort. It doesn't feel comfortable when your house is too hot. And besides those two things, there are two other things very important. It's the protection against noise and against moist. Natural materials can handle moist often a lot better than regular materials. They can transport it, regulate it, and so on. These are four things we have to deal with. bio-based materials, there are two that I'm going to highlight. Wood fiber insulation and cellulose insulation. Why these two? We've used and advised them a lot in the last few years. It's easy to process and with a good result. So wood fiber insulation. And cellulose. So here is so why these two? An important one that I mentioned before is how they handle moist. A tree plant can transport wood. Can transport moist, and if you use a tree or a plant for an insulation material, for an example, they keep these abilities. Other properties of these materials, it's vapor open, but moist regulating. Fine insulation values in the winter. They are flexible or pressure resistant. They can, because of the structure of the properties, they have high noise reduction. These materials have high specific weight. Often it's possible to construct without using foils. And they offer an optimal protection against summer heat. Building with foils is to protect your construction against moist. When using natural materials, the risks are lower because of the moist regulation. So heat protection. If you use wood fiber or cellulose products or even hemp, how is it possible that these materials are so good in protecting against heat? First of all, these materials have a high heat capacity. All the materials have this, but all the materials have a heat capacity. But compared to, for an example, mineral wool or full or foam insulation, wood fiber and cellulose have much higher capacity, 2 to 3 times higher. In combination with the specific weight, which gives a lot more mass, you get the highest possibly heat storage capacity. So these two combined is very important. They can buffer the heat. Also, what happens is that when the roof starts to heat up by the sun, the moisture in these insulation materials start to vaporize. This saves time. It's a phase shift. It takes a lot longer for the heat to get in the building, up to about 13 hours. And these 13 hours, we will explain a little bit further on in the presentation. Insulating against heat of buildings will become quite a challenge in the future, but it is possible. Even like heating a house, cooling it, for an example, with air conditioning, also costs money. Not to talk about what would it do for your comfort in the house. So when you start building or renovating, first look at the construction. You can only do this once, so spend money and time on this. Here you can see a roof structure with the insulation value of an RC6, and 8% is the wood share. On the left, you can see the insulation value. In the middle, you can see the moist protection, which is good. And at the right, you can see the heat protection of these materials. There you can see the 13-hour phase shift. 13 hours of sun is a long time, which we hardly ever see in the Netherlands. This means that the sun is already gone before the heat starts to penetrate the construction. In this way, you can keep the areas behind it cool for more calm. 3 years ago, Halbe was on a construction fair and saw for the first time wood fiber insulation used on top of a conventional construction with mineral wools. So more and more we start to realize the importance of the protection against the summer heat and the benefits of bio-based materials for this problem. Oh, sorry. There's the insulation thickness of for the same heat storage capacity on a day. This is an example of this. If you take Gutex Thermo Homogen, a board of 10 centimeters. Sorry, I should have taken the next here. There you go. So here there's a small example. If you look at the Gutex ThermoSafe Homogen and you use 10 centimeters of this with 110 kilograms per cubic meters, and you compare this with the glass wool, you need here it says 91 centimeters, but Halbe said nowadays it should be around 70 centimeters to have the same capacity. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about cellulose insulation. We've mentioned it before. It's an insulation material made of recycled paper. You can blow it in the construction with a thickness from 100 centimeters to 100 millimeters to 500 millimeters. The lambda value is also good, comparable to a lot of other materials. And also here, specific heat capacity, same as the wood fiber, is quite high. Weight approximately 50 kilos per cubic meter. It contains some natural additives, like natural salts for fire protection and pests. These natural salts, they are for fire protection, and also the pets don't like this. And in particular suitable for building for new buildings, but also refurbishment and renovation. Here you can see two pictures. You can see a cross section of a roof detail, and on the right you can see a man holding a tuft of cellulose in his hand with a burner on it, and in the middle you see a coin on top of the cellulose. Immediately you see that the cellulose is charred, and this also happens to wood, and because of this carbonization, it's also a natural. This works as a natural fire retardant. Sorry, fire retardant. Here you can see blowing in cellulose. On the picture, you see a man filling a wall construction with cellulose through holes on the top of the wall. You fill the wall, and you have to fill each wall element separately. So this is how it goes on the building site. If you do it in a factory, you can do it like this. You can do the whole wall element in one, or in bigger parts. You have a blow-in plate you can put above the timber frame and blow in the cellulose. Another advantage of doing it like this is that you can you have a visual check of the process. And then you can close the element with a vapor open sheet material, and you have wonderful construction filled with cellulose, or nowadays also possible with wood fiber or straw. This is a very good view on the advantage of blowing in insulation materials. So it's very interesting for renovation products, renovation projects. He remembers an old frame. Halber remembers an old farm he worked on with round wooden beams. And with other insulation materials, you cannot really fill all the places. And with cellulose, also because of the force in which you blow in the cellulose, you will have no open spaces, no air space or air channels, which would lead to the loss of insulation value and risk of condensation. So this is really the best way. Then you can see a facade structure, a wall structure. Here you can see quite similar things as we saw before with the roof element. The insulation value is a little bit lower, an RC 4.7, and the wood share is higher, which also has to do with the wooden construction. But also here you can see an even higher heat protection of a phase shift of 14.2 hours. So that's a very long time. To process the cellulose insulation is sometimes is something you have to outcourse. But wood fiber insulation is easy to place in a timber frame construction. You can place mineral wool. If you place mineral wool, you can also place wood insulation. It's that similar. It fits perfectly in a timber frame construction sector today. Sorry. Here you can see the timber frame, what it means. Construction with wood fiber insulation is really not a problem. This is a photo construction of a house. Here you can see Gutex wood fiber board on the outside of the building. You can do that in the factory, but also on the site. And this is the finished project. And well, you can see here that in the back, the black parts are wood cladding, and in the front they use bricks. You can use 2 or more options. There are quite some you can choose from. What you could also do is use the wood fiber on the outside and immediately plaster over it. So this is what it could look like if you do it on the site. You could also insulate an external wall from the inside with wood fiber. Immediately against it, you can see this man is gluing a wood fiber board against the inside of a wall. Clay plaster and wall heating is a very good, very interesting combination to look at. Possibly with clay plaster wall heating. HB sees this as the ultimate heating solution because this creates radiant heat, which is really comfortable, a really comfortable way of heating. This is different than radiators. This is convection. So you get warm above and cold near the floor, and this is more in balance. And this is the end result, possible end result. One more construction detail. This is a flat roof. You could use cellulose or other natural materials in a flat roof as well. But there's one very important thing to think about. Every flat roof asks for its own approach. The attention and calculations to what is possible. You have to always look at them as unique. You can put solar panels on top of them, gravel or a green roof on top of it, which all have influence on the building physics properties of the roof. But we often see that a flat roof will be insulated with wood fiber or cellulose, and even for post installation in renovations. Then a very important part is that pricing. What does it cost? This is a question that we very often hear. HB asked a timber frame construction, what if I would insulate a roof with 200 millimeters of mineral wool in a roof of 200 square meters? What does it cost? And it's about 12 euros per square meter. And this is material plus insertion. Suppose you take wood fiber instead, then the price would be double, 24 euros per square meters. So if you have a roof of 200 square meters, then the price will be, the difference will be 2,400 euros. If you look at this value, if you look at the value of the residence and you say it's about 250,000 euros, then the additional cost is less than 1%. I often get that people say, yes, but wood fiber insulation is twice as expensive as mineral wool. That is right. But if you look at the difference in price compared to the whole residence, then it is almost neglectable. This amount of money people easily spend on a kitchen if they want it just a little bit more luxurious. But insulation you can only do once, and you have the benefit of this during the complete lifespan of the building. Here you can see, I want to show a little bit about projects, example projects. This is a former police station in Leeuwarden in the north of the Netherlands. And here you can see the transformation of that building to a woman's refuge house. Veilige Vesten is the name. It's exactly the same building. It was renovated in 2015. Passive house renovation with use of cellulose, wood fiber on the outside. OSB board on the inside, and no foils, etc. are used. A few years later, there has been an extra extension with the building next to it and constructed in the same way because the indoor climate was perfect and people were very pleased with it. This is an example of a passive house, certified passive house made with bio-based materials. Next one is a straw residence. Here you can see the owner placing the straw bales. And this is a little bit further on in during the construction. And this is the finished project. You cannot see that there are straw bales in this house. It looks like a normal house like the other. The next example is these 6 starter homes. We always get the questions that it would be very expensive, but these starter homes are bio-based and the prices are fit for social housing. So you can see that it's possible. This is a bigger building, bigger project. This is a knowledge center for a bio-based economy. It's an ecological knowledge center. It won the building prize, the Bouwprijs, Build Award in 2019. It's a beautiful building with wood fiber and cellulose. Oh, sorry. There was one picture of the inside, but I don't see it here. Wood fiber and the environment. So a few things about this. No other materials is produced with as little energy as wood. Stone is 3 times higher, concrete 5 times, steel 24 times, and aluminium costs an immense amount, 126 times higher. Wood is renewable within the relative short time. Compare, for an example, to ore or petroleum. Wood has very good insulation effects, 15 times better than concrete, 400 times better than steel, and even 1770 times compared to aluminium. He did not make up these numbers himself. You can see at the bottom the source. And then, in short, bio-based building is building with renewable materials, which costs little energy, fits in a circular economy. It ensures a favorable CO2 balance, lower environmental impact. Trees absorb CO2, especially young trees. So cut down a tree, but immediately plant a new one. Young trees grow through CO2. It ensures a healthy indoor climate. It's available now and in a distant future. These materials will always be there. No burden on generations after us. All the things, this is a very important one. He's a grandpa now, he has 2 grandchildren, and nowadays he sometimes holds his breath when he thinks about what they may encounter in the future. And this decision, the decisions that we take today, we take for them. So if we take the wrong decisions, then they will have to deal with it. So it's really time to decide what we will or will not do. Timber frame building, maximum freedom of choice. Building with wood and or timber frame constructions have so many possibilities and so much freedom of choice. You can see wonderful buildings made with wood. Sorry. I see I'm missing something. These sheets were not in the original presentation, so I'm not going to tell you some more about these. I'm going to leave it with this. What I still want to say, that what Halbe said before, is that sustainability, or rather natureability, success is successful business in a healthy world. And so this is the end of the presentation. For the questions during the webinar, see full recordings. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us, and thank you for your attention. Ja,